Cooper Tier, Nike Pro athlete, former Oregon Duck. The next event on the track is a championship 4x-mile. It's a long race, so let's help bring the energy. I can't hear you, Hayward Field.
Who wouldn't want Cooper Tier on their 4x-mile relay? Well, these teams won't get that, but great to see him getting ready for this race. And here are all of our girls' teams. We have 16 entries.
Big field.
Just one big section. Meet record is 1940-67, and of course this was from 2021, and it was set here at Hayward Field. That was at the height of Saratoga Springs dominance, both in cross country and track. Ella Curto, Alicia Hart, Mackenzie Hart, and Emily Bush. They had quite a run there with that group for a couple of years. And of course, we'd see them at NXN as well in the fall.
I do remember reading about that dominance that Saratoga Springs had. Always interesting at the high school level how it ebbs and flows, particularly on the sort of the distance, middle distance side of things, and at cross country as well. Teams are up there for a couple of cycles, and then they kind of disappear.
And of course that fits. We talked earlier about that whole ethos of the Northeast and really traditional cross country, small town, everyone's on the team mentality. And of course Saratoga, a beautiful town. They just had the Belmont Stakes, great horse racing history, a lot of American history, just north of Albany, the state capital of New York, and it's worth a visit.
It is beautiful up there. I was just, I announced a big bicycle race up there about a month ago. The Tour of the Battenkill goes just outside of Saratoga Springs.
Menlo Atherton's leadoff is your leader. Del Norte from Northern California. It's up near the Oregon border. Menlo Atherton in the Bay Area. Lincoln Community in third. Mounds View fourth. Sherwood fifth. Mounds View brought some relay teams. That's western suburb area of the Twin Cities. Some of our leadoff names: Shannon for Del Norte, Flom for Menlo Atherton, Meta for Mounds View, Thomas for Sherwood. And of course, running the mile, we're not quite hitting the start-finish line. See, that start line was and it was a straight line. It's really a mile on this track is that waterfall line prior to start-finish.
And they've moved it back, those 4 repeat times, to get the 4 times the 1 mile.
Yes.
And I'm sure by the end of this race, we'll see quite a spread, and I might even see some of the back markers being lapped before we get to the finish.
Flom continues to lead for Menlo Atherton. That is, of course, tech country in the peninsula south of San Francisco. There you can see the margin. Lincoln Community now in the second spot, but little group there. So we have one section for the girls scheduled for 2 of the boys. And we have a lot of entries, so I suspect we will run both.
Yeah, these are big fields, and nice to see so many teams and clubs putting together a quartet of runners to run in this championship 4x1 mile. Not a relay that you see that often.
That's a great chance to get all your distance and even middle distance runners some play in a relay meet. And here we come to the first handoff. Menlo Atherton, 1 mile in 5:02. And then 3 teams coming together, Lincoln and Pace Pushers. And Jacksonville University. So the second carry for Menlo is the other Flom sister. We just have last names and initials, so it was A Flom to L Flom.
I was just noting that, Bob. It's the sister show here. The Flom sisters leading off for Menlo Atherton here, 1-2.
Pace Pushers, it's Williams. Del Norte, it's Hong. And we tighten up a little bit.
Tightens up at the front, but the field spread out over almost a half a lap at this stage.
And Menlo now yields the lead.
Del Norte into the lead, followed by Lincoln Community.
And they're in the pink,
Track
and then
Club.
the pedal pushers. And then Menlo Atherton. In Del Norte, the most remote large high school in California, up in Crescent City, just short of the Oregon border in Del Norte County.
Now that's
Hong
Northern
in the carry.
California.
That's really Northern California.
That's really Northern California, if you're up near the Oregon border. We have a battle shaping up here at the front with Del Norte, Lincoln Community Track Club, and the Pace Pushers all very close here at the front of this 4x1 mile championship event.
.755 at the line. Henriksen for Lincoln Community takes over the lead.
It's a bit like cross country where you do have a team. It's so rare for individual distance, runners to sort of come together, as a team. And see it in the distance medley relay, the 4x1. Of course, cross country a little bit different, and it's always a big occasion. I remember we ran a couple of 4x miles when I was in college, and it was always a big deal because we never really got to run in much relay competition as a distance runner. Kind of a special moment.
And it's not run much in the summer meets for youth. Might have a 4x8. We come to the halfway point. And Lincoln Community, next time around, we'll hand it off. Still Lincoln Community, Dale North, pace pushers.
Pace pushers.
Yeah, you'll get this race. Sorry, we'll get this race in the spring, the relays. Get it at Penn or Drake.
The Lincoln Community runner starting to stretch this out a little bit here.
And Hong in second from Dale North, and Williams for pace pushers. And now we come to the halfway point, about 10:30. Now we're off the record pace. That 1940 was going to be a challenge.
Baton and stick exchanges here, not super critical, a little bit more informal than in the sprint relays, but all that hectic scene when it's a little congested of runners coming in, coming out, and trying to not get in each other's way.
And at least you can pick the stick up if there is a drop.
Yes,
And
it's not so fast that you're out of it.
no, you can. And Yeti now on the carry for Dale North. McGarrigan for Menlo Atherton. Thompson for the pace pushers. Here's a Forest Park runner from Portland. It remains Lincoln Community, Dale North, pace pushers. Oh, this is Lincoln Community. It just says Forest Park. First time I've seen these kids up close.
They're so bright, we can't really read the printing on it. There it is, Forest Park.
Yeah, Saavedra on the carry. Well, no, wait, but this is interesting. Saavedra is running for Forest Park of Oregon. But it's being scored as Lincoln Community. Steve, I think we have a discrepancy here.
And there's two Forest Parks. There's
Yes, there are. Yeah.
They got an A and a B team.
Well, I noticed if you look at the entries, there are no Lincoln Community entries. So I think just on here, if you're keeping track, following the scoring on Athletic Live, I think that Forest Park team has been misassigned the name. In fact, I noticed there's a Lincoln Community B team further back. So those are really the Forest Park teams from Portland. I recognize Saavedra from the Oregon high school ranks. That's why I noted that name.
Mm-hmm.
So Forest Park A, Del Norte, pace pushers. So yeah, this is
Anchor leg.
Saavedra. We saw James Henriksen and now Saavedra on the carry.
anchor leg runners getting ready to go. This is a tricky event to, particularly for the, I would say the third and the fourth runners, it's a tricky event to warm up and get ready to go, because you have to come out onto the track and then you're waiting and you're waiting. You've warmed up, but you're standing out on the track for a long time, upwards of 14, 15 minutes. And
Well, I was going to say, the last group it's 15 minutes.
Yeah. Lights are on at Hayward Field.
So the real Hayward magic comes out now.
In the glow of the stadium lights. I must confess,
Well,
I find that distracting.
Lights. Yeah.
There was no lights.
There were not lights of a stadium for decades. There was no lighting.
A long time, I know.
I mean, into the 80s.
I must confess that shade, that contrast in the afternoon from one straightaway to the other is distracting.
And there's Lincoln on the final carry for Forest Park. So through 3 miles, it's 15:41.46 for Forest Park. Dale North 15:55.91. And we still don't have a third place team across the line. And you talked about lap traffic. Here we go.
Yeah, this last leg for the leaders anyways for Forest Park is going to be about negotiating back markers here pretty much all the way to the finish. Might even run into the exchanges going on the home straightaway.
Oh yes. Well, here we come.
You'd only see that in this relay.
That's our leader in between these two handoffs. Well, that worked out okay.
Well timed. It's dedicated camera work that
that's one of our guys out there. I love it.
He's like, that was a great side shuffle move that he was able to keep up with the runners and hold the gyro camera steady.
You got to be fast twitch to run that camera.
Talking about this, earlier in the meet when you were on the break, Bob, we were talking about it in races where you have massive leads, like this. It's very, in individual races, it's very difficult to continue to be motivated, but here in a relay it's a little bit different. You're running not just for yourself, you're running for 3 other runners on the team, so the sense of being driven forward is perhaps a bit greater here in a mid-distance, long-distance relay competition versus in an individual race where your mind might drift a little bit.
And especially a relay like this where all of your teammates are at that same spot. 4x1, you can't see your teammates on the other corners of the track, but everyone now is cheering you on as you come through.
600 go now. And the Forest Park team has this well in control. We got teams and runners spread out all over the whole of the lap. That is Forest Park coming into the head of the straightaway there with that neon pink outfit on, standing out sharply against the green neon Nike logoing for the meet.
And there is second place all the way back on the apex of the Bowerman Curve, Del Norte. 1934. Well, the meet record is 1940. That's how good Saratoga Springs was.
Here's our camera guy, Bob.
That's what our running camera looks like.
That's skill.
He's on the kick.
Traffic here for Lincoln with the stick. 200 to go now. By the water jump. And into the final straightaway, Bob.
We got a 22-second margin over Del Norte. Lincoln finishing it up for Forest Park. And they separated early. And we got a lot of Lincoln High School kids on this team as well. And here she comes, blowing by a few more, putting him a lap down. It is 20:45:88. And she closes out with a nifty 71. And that is the fastest lap of the race. That's the way you finish. Here comes Del Norte now for second. There we go, the big four from Portland. And here's Russo finishing up for Del Norte, 21:15:65. Celebration for our winners. They are the national champs.
A little bit of relay love. Don and I were talking about the bond that develops on relay teams. Earlier when we were doing some of the...
We had a battle for third. You saw Pace Pushers and WR2 come together. Pace Pushers, who ran top three the whole race, they get it by 0.02 of a second.
Whew.
And the energy is used up at the finish line in this race. And of course, Forest Park has a B team they're cheering on in. Forest Park B goes 22:19:48, finishes 13th.
Well, if they put two teams in here, Bob, they must have a strong cross-country team. Good depth. Here's Lincoln with that final push to the finish line. A little switch of the stick from one hand to the other. And the folks holding the tape had to move out of the first lane to accommodate the lapped runners that were going on through. Forest Park looking awesome in pink, taking the win. 20:45.